Hello, everybody. Welcome to Friday night. Jamie's got a dinner engagement, so he's going to join us a little bit later. So we just got myself and Scotsman running the show here tonight. So we'll go around the room and see how everybody's week started out, and we'll get into our topic. Our topic for tonight is going to be all driven by the side chat. So think of your questions, guys, and what you want to talk about, what you have questions you want to ask, or what you think we might want to indulge in, and post them up after we get finished going around the room. Scotsman, how was your week?
Not too bad, man. Good to be here. Good to see everyone popping up the side chat. My week wasn't too bad. A little slow at work, but sometimes slow is okay. But last couple of days were a little mind numbing. But good to be here and good to see everyone popping in there. And yes, please, folks, with your questions, let us know. We're here for you. That's why we do this chat. So let's get some questions from you guys, and we'll see if we'll answer them the best we can. With that being said, Bama Dad, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Hadn't been up to a whole lot except working around the house, cleaning up the yard, and catching poison ivy. But other than that, I don't get a lot. I just get a little. It lasts about 3 days with me, but I managed to find a wad of it and get in it. But other than that, just prepping brass and bothering two of our panelists, asking their opinions about things.
Never a bother. Never a bother.
But move on down to Mike.
Mr. Rebel, how was your week, man? How's the gun sales? I think you might be silenced.
Actually, yesterday, or this week. How's that? Good?
Yeah, you're there.
We hear you now, yeah.
Okay. Let me make sure this plugs tight. Last week, North Carolina State Congressman contacted me. She said, I'm good friends with a retired deputy, and he told me you were my man. And I went, for what, ma'am? And I stopped doing stuff like that a long time ago. And she said, no, I do a gun wrap for a fundraising. I said, okay, so I don't have to ask what party you're affiliated with. So send me a list of guns you can get. And anyway, we text back and forth. And on Wednesday, I told her, I said, I've got the guns in cart. I'm just waiting on your payment. And she said, well, I'm actually in session right now. I'm not supposed to do fundraising things except on my own time. So let me call you this afternoon. So she called me that afternoon and spent $2,600. So
whoa,
yeah. So I hope it does good for her campaign. I hope she sells lots of tickets. And hell, I might buy one myself. One's a Tika rifle. So
nice.
That's all other than my knee, that's all that's been going on with me. Other than that, it's been a fairly slow week. And it's that time of year, guys are in the woods turkey hunting and they've already bought their supplies. So you'll get that last minute desperate dude that comes in, buys a box of turkey shells and a choke or something. But
sure enough. Yeah. Sure
anyway,
enough.
Yeah.
Dr. Zink.
Dr. Zink's been casting up a storm. Busy work, very busy. We can't keep up with the incoming stuff process. It's crazy. So I haven't shot the new rifle yet, but I've been loaded up a bunch of them for mag. with zinc bullets. They're what's the mold again? I always forget the numbers. 429, 421, 245 lead, which is coming out as 230, 247. I cast it up, but that's my weight. And the zinc, 151 grains. So I got all kinds of lateral loads done with different powders to see what's going on. And we casted about 1,000 one-sized, those, on shelf. And tomorrow I start casting some, I think it's 160 grain round nose, so 357. I'll be casting those in zinc. I'm still not, the Rossi still have not come up with a real bullet that it loves type 3 wide cutters though, man. It shoots those things really accurately. But they don't chamber as easy, but they work well. Other than that, that's it. Just trying to keep busy, waiting for the weather. I'm more of a fair weather shooter, so I'm not out there when it's 50 degrees.
Yeah, we've had the warm ones, but they've been during the week.
Yeah, well, that's the other part of it, of course.
Yep.
And then it's supposed to rain tomorrow, and Sunday, chance of showers on and off all day. So it ain't happening this weekend. And that's about it. I mean, out in the brass wise, nobody connecting on through YouTube. Nobody seemed to have any 44 mag brass. So my range that I go to, the one range guy got me some at once, so I just call him up. Can you get me some more? And he said, how much you want? I said, well, you're not getting a ton of 44 mag brass at the range. Oh, he says, you'd be surprised what we collect during the week. So he called me back 3 days later. Okay, I got a 5-gallon bucket half full for you. You want them? So I've been working them all week, sizing and trimming. I'm so blown away with the size of the brass. I mean, we're talking once-fired brass. And they're all short. I mean,
maybe it's Hornady, FTX brass.
That's all mixed head stamps. I mean, I think Hornady's are the shortest ones, but
the FTX, yeah, the FTX stuff is short.
But I mean, I can't come to the trim length I want. I have to sacrifice. I don't know the numbers in my head. 2170. Sound right? I don't remember the numbers. 2.270. I don't remember the numbers. And I have to settle for instead of 7, I have to settle for 6. And it's ridiculous. And then the same with I bought some. Well, I ordered the wrong thing. They came in wrong. My fault. 44 special. And the same thing with those things. They're short. It's ridiculous. So that, trying to get, come up with a trim length so I can get them all, without throwing any brass away. It's like they get they're on the shorter side. So I'm a little unimpressed with 44 brass. But other than that, keeping busy. The wife got involved again. She hasn't been into it for a couple of years. And I want to do something. When I come down, I go, yeah, I can put you to work.
Good deal.
That's about it.
How was your week?
Oh, it was pretty good. First of all, I would say glad to be back. I missed a couple of weeks.
We missed you.
We were gone shooting and stuff, and had some problems with my new pistols. And wife bought her a new rifle. And then we went to the NRA convention.
Wow.
So we've been busy. I did get a couple more videos shot for Wide Cutter Wednesday. Got that done. And working. And that's about it for me. We've been doing a lot of work lately. We got a lot of jobs coming in. So, how about you, Walter?
Well, I had a pretty decent week. My back is slowly getting better. I'm still think I'm gonna go and get an X-ray though. I don't know. Every time I think about turning sideways, it starts to hurt again. As long as I don't use it, it's fine. Kind of like you guys' knees that are up there in the
That's my
upper
knee.
left-hand
Yeah.
corner. Yeah, I know.
Only
use
when
it,
I use it.
It's good. Yeah. It hurt, Doc. It hurts when I go like that.
Yeah.
Well, then don't go like that and shut up.
Don't go like that. $50, please.
Yeah, 50. I wish it cost you 50 before you get in the door. Just on the gas to get there in California, man. I paid $5.30 today. Woo.
Ouch.
Yeah.
And we got Sunoco stations down here, 469. They're nuts.
No, that's high for that side of the country. So anyway,
Yeah,
we
it is.
had a pretty decent week here. I got some shooting done on Monday. Monday's my normal day to go to the range. That's the least occupied day, and our range is open to the general public on the weekends, and so that's a good day for the rest of us to not show up. But Mondays, there might be one of the local Leo outfits up there doing some training or something, but they use a different part of the range than I do. And most of the time I get there, it takes me an hour to get there. If I can get there at 8:00 in the morning, there's usually nobody else there. There might be one or two of the old guard, and we sit around and jawbone and drink coffee before we get started shooting, which is not usually a good thing. Yeah, but it's fine. That's part of the program, right? So did get some shooting done, got some good video material that's going to be coming up, and let's see, I got some casting done yesterday, a couple new molds, so those will show up eventually. One of them, I've had a couple questions here and there on my YouTube channel about, hey, what's better, powder coating or traditional lubing? Because I've gone back and done some traditional lubing. We did pan lubing, and we using the lubricide and stuff, just mostly so I don't lose my own skills on those things, because it's been a while since I did any traditional stuff. So say, well, what's better? And I did a video years ago, but that went down with my last channel when YouTube decided I wasn't good enough for them and had to start all over. And what I found at that time was that my powder coated bullets generally went faster than a traditionally lubed bullet. So I'm going to test that again. I'm going to load the same bullet twice, once lubed, once powder coated, and shoot them in the same firearm, and then shoot them in a different firearm, and try to get some better data to show up. So that's going to be about a month out before I get that done, then presented online. So working on that project, and I've been fiddling around with the 3D printer that you can see back there, trying to get that figured out. That's almost harder to learn than how to ride a motorcycle good. Anybody can ride a motorcycle. Ride a motorcycle good takes a couple 100,000 miles. But anyway, so I've been fiddling around with that. It's actually kind of fun, The price points are getting better and better and better on those things. So that's kind of what's going on around here. Been a good week, playing, spent some time with the girlfriend, all that other good stuff. So anyway, that's me. CW, what did you do all week?
Well, I got to the range and I had a good time with the 300 hammer, which was a relief, because you've been watching along. It's been a little bit if I had any hair up here, it'd be gone. A little bit frustrating, but feel a little better. It's not as good as I hoped, but it's more than good enough. So, and I'm settling on a bullet rather than, I shouldn't say it that way. I've decided to use this bullet no matter what it is. And it's not as good as I know I can get, but it's good enough. But it should be a really good bullet. So we'll go from there. You'll see that coming up this coming week, I think. I didn't check before, but I'll check and let you know at the end what I got coming up for videos. But that was good, and I played with a couple other things. I got to shoot the that 1022 again with the quiets, and that thing is running great. It's running great. I wanted to shoot it closer. I didn't have a chance. The pistol range was hopping because it was one of our first 70-degree days, and it was just loaded with people, so I didn't get down there. And had a really good time. Got a lot of reloading done here. I got a couple of packages in. I got a couple of things in for review. So a lot of stuff going on. A lot of good stuff. So, like I said before, welcome everybody. We got a lot of new people in since we first started. Jamie is fine. He's just a dinner engagement. Hopes to be able to join us in our second hour, and we look forward to seeing him then. But he's having a good time breaking bread with some of you all. A couple of viewers he's having dinner with tonight. So hopefully he's having a good time, and he'll tell us all about it if he gets in here in time. Tonight is going to be kind of an open mic night, so to speak. And Jason put up a couple of stuff early on. We'll go back and look at some of the questions that were already posted, but we're looking for your questions, your comments, what you want to know, what you want us to talk about again or talk about new, or whatever question you might, be thinking about, you guys in the side chat. So let me go back and look what a couple of more. I know there was a question there. Glenn had about 30 caliber, but I don't remember what it was.
So you can't go. You can only go back so far. One of them was about 30 caliber and how effective they are, and then the other one was asking about 9mm versus 357 size difference.
Okay, as in bullet diameter.
Correct.
Well, most 9mm are there's 3.55, and your 3.57s are 3.57, and your rifle 35s are 3.58. But it gets muddy because companies like Colt have always run 3.55 barrels for all their 35 handguns. So if it's a 9mm, it's 357, it's 3.55. Kind of like what Ruger does with their 7.62s.
Yeah.
It's a 312 bullet, but they run a 308 bore no matter what.
Right.
So it gets kind of muddy. But the bullet, based on Sammy drawings, 9mm, 380, 357 a SIG, are 3.55. 38 special, 357 mag, 357 maximum. What's the other 357s? Dan Wesson. They're all 3.57.
All right.
And then you get into rifle 35s, they're 3.58.
And, if you slug your own barrels in the handguns, you'll find from manufacturer to manufacturer a little bit of difference. It won't be huge. But if you take somebody like Ruger, who makes a Blackhawk in 357 convertible with a 9mm cylinder you can stick in there, your 9mm, if it's a factory bullet you're going to shoot in 9mm, it's 1,000th less diameter, more or less, than your 38 357 factory bullet. So there's something to think about there. That bullet's going to have less engagement with the rifling when you shove a 9mm bullet down the barrel of a 357 caliber firearm. I've never heard of anybody who really noticed any difference at handgun kind of ranges, but I've never shot the 9mm convertibles. So there is something to that. You kind of want to pay attention. Of course, if you're a caster and reloader, you can size your 9mm bullets up to fit your 357 barrel, but then why would you shoot a 9mm round through there anyway if you're going to shoot a 358 bullet? So I don't know.
It's certainly not a safety issue. You're fine shooting that, interchangeable. It's just fine. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. And accuracy wise, you're probably not going to notice the difference, truthfully.
Right.
You're really,
not at handgun
really
ranges.
The other thing to bear in mind there too is, especially if you're casting and powder coating, remember when you powder coat, you're adding on top of the size. So you got to figure out what kind of size you want to go to and pay attention to your diameters, because that will add some thickness to it.
Yeah, right. And if you're a caster, I think it is important to know what your bore diameter is, and I think it's important.
Real important for cast
to slug those barrels. You just take a really soft lead, pure lead, and you can even cast a lead bullet that's
it's a very
bigger and poke that down through there. You can buy slug kits that have soft lead bullets in various sizes approximate to your caliber, like for 9mm, let's say you start at 3.54, and then there's another slug in there for 3.55, and another one for 3.56 and 3.58. You keep poking those through there. You get one that fully engages the rifling. As you push it all the way through, you got to kind of get a wood dowel or Delrin dowel or something, tap them through there, and then you measure it when it comes out and see what that barrel really is. And I've done that with all of my revolvers, and I know where they are. And that's an important issue, I think, if you're going to cast. You need to know how big that barrel is so that you can size your bullets, your cast bullets appropriately to grab every bit of that rifling that you can. And so we usually, rule of thumb has always been you size 1,000th over.
There's a phrase in bullet casting, and that is "fit is king."
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. It's really important.
The key factor there, and Walter said this multiple times, and I will 110,000% insist and make sure you use soft lead. Don't ask me how I know, because I didn't do it. Someone else did it, but don't ask me how I know.
Yeah, you use pure lead, and and it literally engraves the rifling into the lead. As you punch it down through there, it twists its way down through, and it comes out. You with a revolver, you push it through from the muzzle end. You got to be careful with that, and that's why I say you use a piece of wood dowel or a Delrin rod, and just tap it through, and they go pretty easily. Especially if you start small and go, well, that one almost fell through, and then get a little bigger one, and you can do that if you're a caster just with your own sizing dies. You cast some bullet that's way too big in lead, and then size it appropriately, and then push it through. But those sizing kits work good too, and you can do multiple firearms with each kit.
All right,
the same caliber.
We got some good questions coming in, so we'll try and get through these as quickly and efficiently as possible. Rich is out there asking if it makes sense to buy a 44 special revolver when that only shoots 44 special when he has a 44 Magnum. 100% yes.
I say yes. They're hard to find, but I say yes.
Yeah, 100%. If that's what you're going to focus on, yes, because it will make a difference in your accuracy. It'll make a difference in a lot of different places. So yes, 100%.
Yep. Big deal comes in cleaning, because if you shoot a 44 special in a 44 Magnum cylinder, not one isn't going to hurt, but if you shoot 50 rounds to it, you're going to end up with some carbon buildup right at where the top edge of the case mouth of that 44 special cartridge was, and those are hard to scrub out. And then if you go and shoot a Magnum round after that, now imagine you've got a 0.005 of carbon ring built up in that cylinder. It might not be that much, but any at all. Now you shove a Magnum case in there, that carbon ring is going to be a skosh down from the case mouth of that Magnum cartridge. And now you're going to do two things. You're going to be pushing that Magnum case up against that carbon ring, which may or may not affect your cylinder. That's debatable, but it's certainly going to mark your case. And it may get to the point where you can't even get that Magnum case in there after shooting a whole bunch of
I was going to say that's the next thing
special
is
cases.
Yeah.
Right. And finding 44 special revolvers, it's just not a real common one. They're out there. Ruger made one. I have one. I've just not that long ago got one, and I prefer to shoot my specials out of that. Not to say you can't do it in a Magnum revolver, but you're going to spend more time scrubbing that carbon ring out when you get home, and you got to do that.
The only active manufacturer of 44 special right now is Charter Arms, and they're hit or miss. As far as quality, I've had some issues with some I had to send back for customers. Ruger did make a GP 100, I think, and a 44 special. I wished I'd have jumped on that at the time, and I didn't.
You're not watching my videos.
I saw you. Yeah.
I've got a Ruger 44 special, Blackhawk Bisley that's a recent manufacturer, and it was a distributor exclusive. I think it was Lipsy's. It was one of those. So they're out there.
I just hope to find the guy that has no idea what he has and get a Smith & Wesson triple lock. You know.
There you are.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
What's this
on
worth?
this-
$300? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So on this topic, we do have some comments out there. We have some other questions coming up too. So I don't want to get too far off the questions, but we do have some other comments out there relate to it.
There's a quick one,
Insight
Jason.
Freedom brought up. Same thing with 38 357. Yep, absolutely. Same thing.
See,
And there's lots of
we-
those.
We shoot nothing but 38s out of our cowboy guns, and they're chambered for 357. So I have to make sure those carbon rings are clean in there, even if I'm not ever going to shoot 357 magnums in there, because it'll build up.
Yeah, Edward Petty brought up a really good point too. A lot of us buy magnums and we shoot a lot of specials through it. You're adding different factors on the force and cone and stuff as well, so you really got to pay attention to what you're doing to your gun. That comes down to a lot of cleaning. Going back to the cleaning aspect, like Walter brought up, you really got to get in there and make sure everything's good and clean.
Same thing with your rifles.
Right.
Same thing with
And
your
you can-
rifles, guys. I mean, a carbon ring can give you a false throat where you think you're seating the bullet to the lands and you're not. You're seating it to the carbon ring. So you got to be especially careful of that.
And just because you have a Magnum revolver doesn't mean that you can't shoot special, level loads. I've been working on this video series from the 6-shooter Texan mold, and I loaded special loads with wad cutters in Magnum cases just to demonstrate that. You don't have to. You can shoot a 38 level wad cutter in a 40, a 357 Magnum case. You just load them down, and you can do pretty well with it.
M. Gabriel was asking that, and it's if you go back and you look at classic movie, it will tell you that he shoots a 44 wad cutter cut down to basically a special load in a 44 Magnum. So 100% possible and absolutely doable. No reason you can't.
We had a question on a 350 Legend. I mentioned 358 is a rifle diameter, and the 350 Legend is like the redhead stepchild. Winchester chose to make a really bad deal there and kind of fudged all the numbers up and crossed all the lines that they shouldn't have crossed and created a cartridge that just didn't exist. There was never a 9mm rifle like that before, and basically that's what it is. It's basically a 9mm. It's 3.55 diameter bullets. I've had a couple of them that would not chamber 3.57 bullets. Some people's can, but it's designed for a 3.55 diameter bullet. The 350 Legend.
New Texicans out there. It's got a local place. It's a 92, and it's got some hideous gold parts on it. Is there a way to get those off of there and refinish them?
Brownells offers they used to offer a stripping kit. You have to keep the stuff at temperature. I tried it with a nickeled Ithaca 45 and limited results. I ended up having to Duracoat the thing, unfortunately, but the value was already ruined on it. So
you might be able to Easy Off is an incredible thing. It can take off a lot of stuff you didn't expect it to. So oven cleaner, you can try that. And you could also just replace the parts. They're basically 92 Winchester parts. So you might be able to just pick them up from Noomrich or somewhere.
Yeah.
And replace them with blued ones.
All right. So we have a really good question out there. from Dwayne. Can you resize a plated bullet?
Yes and no.
Right.
I've
Absolutely yes,
res-
but will it be good afterwards? Maybe no.
right. Yeah, you can always run them through the sizer
Yeah.
die. I have actually resized jacketed bullets.
Mhm.
For example, I got a boatload.
350 Legend. Did it a bunch.
I got a boatload of 44 caliber bullets, soft nose, jacketed soft points from Everglades one time, and they were at almost 431, which is a little bit big for my .429 revolvers. So I thought, well, let's try it, and I put them through a 429 resizer. But what happens is that they spring back, and the inherent problem with that is it depends on how well that jacket is bonded to the lead core. Because if you resize a bullet, that material's got to go someplace, right? And so if you stretch that bullet downward or upward, you're talking about moving one metal against the other, and whatever it is that's bonding that stuff together may slip a little bit, and you might actually end up with a lead core that didn't spring back as much as the copper jacket or vice versa. So that lead core might be a little bit loose in there. I have not noticed from doing that. Mine spring back when I size them through the 429. They spring back to 430 and they shoot fine. I have not noticed a problem. I just didn't want to put 431 jackets through my barrel because it tends to get too much copper fouling in there when I did that. So I do that all the time with that bullet, and I got those bullets cheap. I mean, really cheap, cheaper than plated. Now, to plating is so thin that you're liable to break the plating if you try to
That's
resize.
what I would be worried about.
Yeah, if you look at plated bullets, a lot of them will tell you don't push them faster than X velocity.
Right.
And that's the reason. Now, Barry's has come out with some super plated bullets, whatever you want to call them. They're hollow points and all these different things, and they say you can shoot those to whatever you want. Well, those are getting to the point where they're almost jacketed. They're a much thicker plating.
Yeah, there's several thousands thick
So
plating.
And they're more expensive too.
basically, that's exactly as Walter just explained. And you got two dissimilar metals, and when you run them through the sizer, they're going to rebound differently. And depending on how that difference is, depends on the relationship to the jacket to the bullet core.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be a danger in safety. It's probably more likely an accuracy problem.
Yeah.
But there has been cases in rifles where they've spit cores and left jackets in barrels when funny things happen, and that's really dangerous. So it can occur.
Yeah. Generally speaking, I'd say you're better off not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
What else we got out there, Scotsman?
I talked to Barry's Bullets when I was there. They were real nice people.
They've got good product. They're really popular, in the reloading community. See lots of guys using them.
Yeah, I got a lot of freebies from them.
That's good.
That's all we've had so far, Walter. Guys, you got questions? Ask them, please. Let us know. Again, you guys make the show, and we're reaching out and asking you guys what you want to know, what you want to learn, and we'll help you the best we can.
I think it was Glenn Davis who had a 30 caliber bullet question. I know I saw it, but I don't remember what the question was about. So, Glenn, if you could post up again. And like Jason said, we can only go back so far. So some of those first questions, I saw a few of them, and they look pretty good.
If I remember right,
ask us again.
Yeah,
we didn't forget you. We just didn't get there soon enough.
He wanted to know how effective a 30 caliber bullet was.
In what relationship? I mean, 30 is rifle caliber.
Be more specific as to what you want to know exactly. Okay, hold on. Here we go. All right. Was a general question about shooting them fast, shooting them slow.
Are you worried in relationship to the hammer? What you're going to find is the hammer has made a change. When they designed it, it was a 1 in 15, and the ones coming out now are 1 in 12 rifling twists. When you're 1 in 15, what we found was, although it will shoot 150s, they weren't great. The 130s, 125s, 110s were much better. Dropping down to a 1 in 12 twist, you're probably going to find 150s accuracy improved, because your typical 30 caliber twist rate is a 1 in 10. So all are fine. You start getting a little bit of instability, and that leads to inaccuracy. So it's not a safety thing. It's just an accuracy thing. So as far as what the bullets are going to do, you want to be careful with some 30s, because obviously we've got some really big 30 magnums. Generally speaking, you're going to be only worry about that above 180 grains, and the 180s aren't going to do well in the hammer probably at all. It wouldn't be unsafe. You want to work up a load, but you're probably not going to find your best accuracy. But it would shoot. It just wouldn't perform. Shooting steel or paper, tin cans would be fine. If you wanted a game bullet, I would say stick with the 125-ish, 130, 135. Beware of the varmint styles, because they can still be fragile on big game, and you'd probably be fine.
It's something we used to stress on 300 blackout. People had the hardest time understanding. They would take a heavier bullet and shoot it in 300 blackout and say, well, it shoots so accurate, but I've lost 2 deer with it. Well, it's not performing. It's penciling, 300 blackout is just slow enough in supersonic compared to the hammer that a varmint bullet turns into a controlled expansion bullet. The hammer ups that velocity by what, CW? 200 feet per second?
Couple of hundred.
Yeah. So varmint bullets tend to act like varmint bullets. So you got to tailor load. The 125 SST ought to do well in either cartridge, I would think.
It will from a performance level, but it can be an issue because of its shape. So generally, in my AR, I won't shoot them because I've got to seat the ogive down into the neck to get the overall length right.
Okay, I didn't have to do that. That's wacky. Okay.
Yeah, the blackout gives you lots of length for bullet. The hammer doesn't.
I'll be damned. Okay.
There's 2 good heavy bullets for the hammer if you want to try them. One of them is a Spear gold dot designed for the 300 blackout. It says GD 150 BLK, I think is the numbers for it.
BO.
BO?
Yeah.
It's a dynamite bullet. Dynamite bullet at like 1900. So you can get that going over 2000 easy, probably over 21 in the hammer, and it will be tremendous. The 160 grain Hornady FTX bullet made for the 30-30. Be careful with this one too, because they make one that's made for the 308. If you look at them side by side, the cantilever placement is different. I assume that jacket thickness, bullet core hardness, something else is different because of velocity ranges. I don't know that. I do know that the cantilever is in a different place. But I also know that we did testing with this. Michael know too. Delp did testing with this bullet, and it expanded down around 1,300 feet per second.
And you're right, CW. It's BLK. It's the number 308 150 BLK GDB. So
that's a dynamite 150 grain bullet in the hammer or the blackout.
Yep.
But the FTX bullet, 160 grain Hornady FTX, made for the 30-30. It's a very long bullet, so I had issues getting up to velocity in the blackout because the powders I was using were ball. They don't like to compress, so I couldn't get enough powder in there to get velocity up where I should have been able to get it. But the hammer might give you a little more powder capacity, and definitely would perform if you wanted a heavy bullet in the hammer. But you're fine with the 110s. Pick a good 110. Those 110 VMAXs are supposed to be dynamite. The guys rave about them in the blackout. You're going faster in the hammer, but I bet they would still be okay. I would worry about really big deer or shooting on bones, really big pigs shooting on bones, but keep it in the soft stuff, behind the ribs, in the lungs, and I'm sure you'd be fine.
Next, shoot them.
Yeah.
We have another question out there. IWS Bulls asking if anyone's tried the brass caps for the front sight that glue on without hitting your actual real sight itself. Personally, I have not. Has any of you guys used those at all?
I've never even seen them. No.
That's a totally new one on me.
I'm assuming you have a front sight that cannot be changed, because that's what I would do. I just change out the front sight.
It's the same. That's the only ones I've seen is the kind they use in cowboy action shooting, but those things are huge.
Yeah, they're huge, and they typically replace what you already have. I haven't seen ones that you glue on.
Well, the ones I got are slip-on.
Okay, they're slip-on. Okay.
Yeah. Or I don't have them. I don't like them. Penny's got them on her rifles, her rifle and her pistols. I got to get one for her new rifle.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with the factory sights on the Henrys or anything like that. So typically, I haven't messed with any of them. Marlins, same thing. No issues with them.
I think they're called Sure Hits or something like that is what. Well, I made hers, but if you was to buy them, I think they're called Sure Hits.
Huh.
So, Glenn, if you want to stay with 135s, there is another 135 in the FTX line that's made for the blackout. 135 FTX. That would be a dynamite bullet.
What about that Sierra Hollow Point CW?
The
I know it
135.
was marginal. Yeah,
It's fragile.
I know it was marginal in the 300 blackout, but I can't remember
it's fragile
why.
in the blackout. I personally wouldn't use it on my deer here. It comes apart. So with a couple hundred feet per second more, it would only be worse. But if you wanted a fragmented bullet for vermin, coyotes or something like that, it would be a dandy. It's a good shooter. It shoots really, really good. It's accurate as heck. It looks like the old Sierra. They still make it with the crimped looking hollow point.
They're scalloped.
It looks like a crown, yeah. But it's actually crimped. It's pinched on four sides. I know Bill Wilson likes that 125 TNT bullet. I bought some and they shot okay. I don't know how they are on game. I have no idea.
They're
one I never tested for blackout.
From reports from the guys from the shop, they love TNT bullets. So I don't know how it'd work for velocity in a blackout or a hammer, but and 308 velocities are great.
What other questions do we have, folks?
All right, so we did have Hillbilly jump in with us too. We were caught up in the questions there a little bit, so we didn't really get dinner. Welcome him in, brother. How you doing, man?
You guys, how y'all doing?
Good.
All right.
How was your week, man? I know you were a little under the weather the previous week. How was this week for you?
Man, this last week or so, when it rained, it poured, I tell you. I got feeling a lot better, and Sunday I was outside working around the house up on the ladder, and I was like, I had the ladder sitting this way, so I had to twist to do all the stuff I was doing and everything, and didn't fall, didn't do anything. Everything was great. And then Monday morning, I woke up with my sciatica nerve like just blasting, man, from my hip down past my knee, and it is miserable. I've never had that happen before, but my goodness.
Welcome to middle age.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's
I tell you what, Hillbilly, if you get one of those, I don't know what the technical name of them are, but they're therapeutic, and they thump. They'll thump your back and run that up and down your spine. My wife's got one. I use it on myself, and
you're
at first you think
you're talking about a massage gun.
Yeah, it's a gun too. I mean, it will absolutely thump you. You think, okay, this really didn't do any good until you wake up in the morning. You're like, okay, that did some good. You know, you ought to try one of those.
I'll check that out, buddy. Thank you.
You're welcome. Had a bad back for 25 years.
Oh, man.
We got Dale out there. They had an EF4 tornado come through.
Yeah, I heard it hit a base in Oklahoma.
Dale, we hope you're doing okay out there, buddy.
You know, Oklahoma and Arkansas, because in Arkansas they're having a hell on the border match, and one of the ladies that sells bullets by Scarlet, her tent got blown away. All of her stuff got waterlogged.
Well, that same system's supposed to hit here tomorrow. Not that violent, but I hope it brings some rain, because right now you can flick a cigarette and start a forest fire.
We've gotten rain the last 2 days, so we're pretty good right now.
All right, folks, keep asking questions. We're here for you.
Rollis has asked a question about the general consensus of the Model 57. I'm assuming he's talking about the Smith & Wesson, not the Chevy.
Yeah, he's talking about Smith & Wesson. He made a comment earlier. He picked one up. You know, he wasn't a huge fan, but he picked one up anyway. I know he was a huge fan. The Model 57 is a beautiful piece. You can't go wrong with 41 Magnum.
Nope.
It's not quite what 44 is, but, you know, it's close.
Some
Still
argue
a beautiful gun. Still shoot really nice. Man, I love shooting the 41 Magnum. They're
some
so
argue
smooth.
that a 41 had better penetration. I don't know if that's true, but
I don't know about that, but I will say that they are super smooth. I mean, super smooth.
Some of the problems with the 44 and a lot of other calibers are they've been around for so long that so many different manufacturers, so many different opinions on this and that, and metallurgy and technology and precision weren't there. Whereas the 41 Magnum was designed in 1964. So in retrospect, reality, the 44 Magnums in the 50s, it's a lot newer. And you'll find that there's not nearly as many discrepancies in the way the chambers are cut, the barrels are cut, the forcing cones. They're a lot better. So
More precise.
the accurate 41 Magnums is a lot more common right off the get-go. So they get a really good reputation because of that.
Yeah. Guys, if I miss your comment, I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up with y'all, and I do have to walk away every now and then. So if I miss something, I do apologize. But I'm trying to scroll back up and pay attention to what's going on.
I'd like to throw one thing out that was asked by somebody. In general, he was talking about reducing loads, less recoil. Use light if you're reloading yourself, or even if you got to buy store-bought, buy lighter bullets. A 200 grain bullet is going to have less recoil in your hand than a 450 grain bullet. So that's something else to bring up. And for those that are not sure, I cast in zinc, and a 245 grain bullet is 151 grains of zinc. You talk about reduced recoil and higher velocities. So lighter bullets, if you load yourself, you can get a higher velocity out of it with less recoil.
And just for folks out there, Andy, talking about casting and zinc, what's the big difference? And I know the difference, but what's the big difference for the folks out there casting lead versus casting zinc?
Well, the difference, the temperature you're casting at, various different molds like different things with lead. So like 650 to 725 tops. Zinc, you're at 800 degrees. So you spill some of that, you'll know about it. But the other factor is you don't have to powder coat. Your size.
More lube.
Huh?
Or lube.
Well, that's what I was getting. You don't have to powder coat or lube the bullet, and you're sizing it. If it's 429, like 44 Magnum, you're sizing it to 429. You're not making it larger, and it takes less powder for it to move at the same velocity of a heavier bullet, and your recoil is reduced. Zinc is fun to deal with. It's a little learning curve, not too much. You can't use the regular Lee 425. You'll burn it. You'll burn a hole through it. You have to use the old style Seikos or Weinmans that were cast iron crucibles. They're expensive. They're hard to come by. It's 60% lighter, Glenn. 245 in lead comes out to 151 in zinc. That's what my mold's casting.
Now, how does that affect your molds? So typically everyone knows casting in lead, but how does it affect your molds themselves?
You can't. You shouldn't use an aluminum mold. You can. It's not the heat that destroys the mold. It's trying to open the sprue, because if your sprue plate and mold are not hot enough, the zinc hardens to the point where you can't crack it open. So you got to hit it too hard, which will eventually, in an aluminum mold, it will oblong the base of the bullet. So that becomes a problem. As far as using steel molds, I've gone through one mold, but I've casted. Remember when I was making those 300 blackout bullets for people? It was this shooting group out west. They were buying 5,000 bullets from me a month in zinc, and I think it was about 12,000 or so was when the mold was starting to let go in a. But again, that's casting. That's sitting and casting for hours a day, not casting for an hour. So there's a big difference. I mean,
Right.
That mold just stays hot. I've actually the Lyman mold handles actually killed 2 handles because of the heat. The mold handle can't handle the heat. They actually get brittle and start to crack.
So,
You get holes on where it mounts onto the mold itself.
GGW, we obviously see your question there, buddy. We got a couple more that relate to lead, so let's answer those real quick while we got that. Sorry, not the lead, to zinc, while we got those up. IWS Bull's asking, can you mix anything with the zinc to soften it?
No.
Nope.
And then the other question is from Edward Petty. How do you calculate the weight charge versus zinc versus lead?
Well, I don't use a book. I use quick loads.
Yeah.
Well, that too, but quick loads, if you want to get precise and you can change, and you pick the bullet your mold is, and you can change all the properties of it that way. But usually if you're shooting a 200 grain lead bullet and now you're going to shoot 110 grain zinc, you try to find the lightest weight bullet in that area. Like because when you get to the bigger bullets, they don't make as lightweight bullets, so it's harder to come up with the number. So quick loads is going to help. And to me, if somebody gives me information, I'd be pretty good at give him a range to load the powder he wants. But in the smaller calibers, like 357, 38, 9 millimeter, you can see bullets in the weight you're going to cast. And if you use that load data to start and work your way up, you would be safe. And then, of course, if you start learning how to read the signs of, overpressure and stuff, you'll know when you're getting too much powder in it. So, that's more or less experience that, you've had from reloading that, this is too hot. Look what it did to the brass, to the primers, and all the variables, and to back off a little bit. But in general, let's put it this way. 11 grains are unique behind that 44 Magnum bullet. You get 1,750 to 1,800 feet per second out of that bullet. But it's 11 grains, and you can go to 13. So you can go in that 2,000 feet plus per second range if you have the gun that can handle it. But I wouldn't push it myself that far.
Yeah.
And Kenny Eagle Eye Shooting has a video out there, and I think they're shooting 100 yards. And they're only banging steel, but they're doing it one after the other after the other. It's 100 yards with a zinc bullet, and you can hear the difference between the lead and the zinc hitting the thing because he loaded 2 different bullets. But if you go to Eagle Eye Shooting and type 44 mag zinc 44 mag, you'll find his video, and you'll be amazed. He talks about the reloading of it and different loads that he's playing with to give you an idea.
All right.
What I did when I was first starting, as I did just what Andy said. If I had a 147 grain 9 millimeter mold, it would produce a bullet that's down 90 something grains, and that's how I would use
92, yeah.
I'd use data for a 90 grain lead bullet, and there's lots of that, and use that as your start, and then slowly work up, because you're just even as much work as Andy has done, and he's done more than anybody else. You're still treading on, unexplored territory there, so you got to be careful with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Take your time, work yourself up. We say that with anything that we do as far as reloading, regardless, whether it be lead, zinc, or whatever you're using, you always want to work up and just take your time with it.
Jamie, you got not last year, I guess it was the year before. Yeah, I sent them off some bullets that he shot this 35 Remington, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he with these zinc bullets, and we were on the phone an hour and a half discussing where he should load it. He had a load that he thought would be good, and I said, well, you're on the hot side. I don't know if I'd start that far. And he did, and he got 600-yard targets with the damn thing. And he wouldn't give the velocity. He wouldn't tell anybody the velocity. Those things are flying. So, you know, again, it's a whole experimenting thing, because you got to remember, I'm using the physical size of a 245 grain bullet in my new 44 Magnum rifle, and the weight of it is only 151 grains. So
Right.
there's the factor of it may not work well on that rifle. I don't know yet. I have lead version loaded and the zinc version loaded, and same thing with 44 Special. I discovered if I want to be, let's say I want to have a 44 Special with that bullet and a 44 Magnum with that bullet coming out of the muzzle at the same velocity. And by doing so, I don't have to change my sights, my scope. That's the purpose of trying to come up with that. So I have ladder loads loaded from 850 feet per second to about 1,200 feet per second with both loads, and see where they shoot out of the rifle.
Yeah, and I know Jamie had a lot of fun with that 35 Remington and playing around with the zinc too. I know he had a lot of fun playing around with that for sure. But yeah, he kept that data pretty hush hush.
Yeah. I mean, I could, if I had more information what the barrel length was and what powder he used, I could tell you what he would have been achieving. But it's crazy.
So we got a question out there from GJW, and we'll start going around the room. We'll start with CW. CW, what do you think, man? GJW is asking, what's your favorite kind of finish on a stock?
I've used them all, and they all are fine. I like the depth of oil best. They're all oil, but tongue oil. I just like that. I like that look. True oil is going to get you a lot more gloss, and boiled linseed oil, that's what BLO is. It's kind of in between them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I'm kind of right there with you. I do have linseed oil, but tongue oil will give you a nicer, cleaner finish. I don't like it too glossy. Personally, that's just me. I like to see the wood doing what the wood's supposed to do. I don't want this high gloss polish finish. That's not me. I want to see what the wood itself is speaking to you. And it may sound funny to some people saying that the wood's speaking to you, but it does. It speaks to you. So, I want to see what it wants to say. Hillbilly, what about you, man? What do you think? What's your favorite kind of finish on a wood stock?
I just rub a little Murphy's oil on her and buff her out. I don't know. I think all of them are pretty good. I know sometimes it seems like maybe the grain in the stock, have a little bit to do with it too, maybe. But yeah, I know my grandpa used the linseed oil a lot, and so.
Yeah, the big thing is to pay attention to is, and you brought up a great point too, that the grain of it is going to make a huge difference. But depending on what you use, some will darken versus lighten too. So some may make it a lot darker than what the wood actually is. So really pay attention to that, because you may not want it to be super dark. You may want to stick with it being on the lighter side. So pay attention to that too. Andy, what about you, sir?
Somebody didn't catch what you were saying.
What's your favorite kind of wood finish?
I really don't have a favorite. I mean, I like I guess a darker wood with a lot of grain with a nice shiny finish.
All right, so you're kind of more on the shiny side. All right. 6, what about you, brother?
Oh, to me, it's depending on what the stock is, and what gun it's on. Take that blue air rifle that I'm using in the Wadcode series. That's got that laminated stock. I liked it shiny better than dull. And everything else that I've ever, refinished, I've done used oil, linseed oil. I like that. I've never used tongue oil yet.
Well, I agree. An older military rifle, and somebody's redoes the stock, sands it up, and makes it shiny as hell. That doesn't belong there.
Yeah, you want to keep the history of that, man. If it's an old school military, you want to keep the history. Don't destroy it by refinishing it like that.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a sighting we need to take care of.
Go ahead, Walter.
Here we go. We're on 3, 2, 1. Hey, Mario, West Coast
Buddy.
weirdo. Hi, Mario. Welcome in, buddy. All right,
Good
sorry.
to see you out there. All right, Bama Dad. What about you, man? Favorite kind of wood finish?
It just depends. I mean, I'm like you. I kind of like the matte finish. I don't like it real glossy. I don't even like the way they feel when they're real glossy. I like something that I like it's just a warmer, smoother, softer feel on the matte finishes, and they seem to hold up better. Now, if I've got something that's like, one of the oddball bird's eye maple or something that's a light colored wood, I may change my mind on that. But for the most part, especially like you said, if it's a vintage rifle, it's got to go back with a satin finish.
Yeah, it's also depending on how many coats you're giving these things, and you're building that coat up. Tommy made a comment there about linseed oil and boiled linseed oil being completely different, and they are in the way they're processed and what they're made for. But like if you like old cowboy guns, cowboy wood, old military stuff, that's oil. That's your tongue oil or your linseed oil. That's that finish. If you like the Brownings and the Winchesters, really gloss epoxy type coatings, that's many coatings of true oil. So there's your extremes. True oil doesn't have to give you that high gloss, but it's almost always going to be shinier. It's going to build faster than the oils. The oils can get you a little bit of a sheen, but it's going to be many, 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 many coats and a lot of work to get there. So that's the difference we're talking about.
I'm gonna bail out. I gotta get something done before I go to bed. So everyone have a great weekend.
All right, Andy.
Okay,
All
Andy.
right,
Good night, buddy.
Andy.
I like to let the
Buddy.
wood show off. I mean, that's the thing with me. I love the look of wood, so if it detracts from the natural finish, the natural look of the wood, I don't like it.
Well, they all can enhance it. They're all better than like polyurethane stuff that some of the manufacturers use, or some of the old varnishes that were they're not durable at all.
Right.
No.
No.
No, and
They
if you go back and it was more prominent in old shotguns where you'd see it where they'd be using actual varnish on these
Peel
wood
off.
stocks, and shotguns get beat up. I mean, they get beat up like crazy, and they're using just regular varnish. Yeah, it was a freaking disaster. Rabble, what about you, man? What's your kind of thoughts on favorite finish on a wood stock?
Depends on what the rifle is. On old military, I'm like you. I like to keep it simple and original. On lever actions, I prefer it to look cowboyish. So old school tongue oil or linseed. I have some beautiful wood stocks and modern guns, both laminated and not. And I just did a a custom triple deuce, which CW has seen that rifle. I think Walter has too. I showed it on here while, and it's laminated thumb hole and it's glossy, but it's got kind of a gray green main part, and this got like a rosewood pistol grip cap and a rosewood schnabel, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's up in my truck. Otherwise, I'd show it. But I've recently had to kill a bench rest rifle, and I'm selling the action. The action's still good. It was an unknown gunsmith, and I bought it. You know, it's kind of a buyer beware thing. Come to find out, doing the forensics on this thing, it was a 6 PPC. They did the action all wrong. They did the bolt face all wrong. And a buddy of mine who's a great gunsmith was able to fix that, fix the Seiko extractor. So he salvaged the action, but the chamber was drilled crooked. And I always wondered why this thing never shot like a 6 PPC is supposed to shoot. Now I know why, you know. But anyway, its stock resides here in the gun safe, awaiting another rifle at some point, and it is a laminated light maple and dark walnut, and it's striped this way. And it's glossy and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But it just depends on the gun, man, where it's appropriate. I mean, you know, if it's a varmint rifle or a bench rest rifle, it can be bright red. It doesn't really matter. My preference on a hunting rifle is a high-end synthetic flat dark earth with black webbing, or black with flat dark earth webbing, you know, in it. And I run the gamut, man. I run the gamut.
All right, Waller, what about you, man? I know people are eager to know what your thoughts are.
Well, I haven't done much in the way of rifle stock refinishing. I've done a couple over the years, but nothing probably within the last 30 years. And the last one I did was with boiled linseed oil. Handguns, which is more my purview. I've only done a couple. CW was mentioning, you know, some of the polyurethane lacquer type finishes. Smith & Wesson used a lot of that stuff on their presentation grips, and given time, that stuff will start to peel off, especially if it's outside and in the sun a lot. And you might remember that Jamie sent me a pair of grips for an end-frame Smith & Wesson where that stuff was all peeling off. I mean, they were really cruddy looking, so I just took some furniture polish and removed the rest of that stuff, and did a boiled linseed oil finish on it, and they came out great. You know, I'm not one who really likes shiny finishes on a handgun. I'd rather have wood that feels like wood, or there's one exception to that I'm starting to get used to, and that's the Magnatusk material from Arizona Custom Grips. In fact, I just got a new set in today. But as far as wood grips go, I want to feel the wood. I don't want it to be slippery and slick, you know, particularly. And so if I was going to refinish a set of handgun grips, it would be something other than a shiny finish, one of the oil finishes, I'll say it that way. And you can come in and follow it with some paste wax or something if you want them to be a little slicker. But linseed oil or boiled linseed oil, or, you know, any of the oil finishes, to me, look better on a revolver than lacquer type finish. I don't like that much.
It's a boiled linseed oil is a popular one for hand tools too.
Yeah.
Axe handles, shovel handles, you know, things like that.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
popular one for that because it protects the wood, and it's not slick. You can
We
still
used to
have
take
a
a
good
piece
tooth
of
to it.
glass and shave those handles down with a piece of
Yeah.
busted glass and come back in and refinish them. We used lots of BLO in the fire service. Yeah. Tommy boy, yeah, those lacquer coated stuff.
This is just a piece of wood. This is not a firearm.
This is
Right.
a piece of firewood.
I like that firewood. Yeah. A new term.
Well, that's
Nice.
done in poly, I would think, because it's glossy and it's hard. But
Mhm.
my personal opinion is it's a pretty stock. I love the little palm swell right here. It'll be on another rifle, and it's
Yeah.
bedded appropriately, so it'll be on another rifle. But that's a beautiful stock.
If anyone's out there, and you're thinking about refinishing something, before you actually go and do it to the firearm that you have, that you're thinking about doing, go out and get a piece of scrap wood.
Oh yeah.
Or if you have something laying around the house that you can grab something that's a piece of scrap or something that you don't care about, and practice on that first. And also, depending on the kind of wood that you have, you're probably going to want to test whatever kind of finish you're going to use on a test piece prior, so you know what it's going to do and how it's going to react.
What I got a question for you guys that have done this, and CW I know has done it because I've seen a couple of his videos on it. But suppose you've got a polymer stock that's got a color, a finish, something that you don't like. You're pretty much relegated to some kind of paint. You may want to come in and sand out some sort of matte finish or something. But what's out there to do that kind of a stock?
Duracoat.
Yeah.
So there's multiple ways you could do that. Duracoat is definitely one. You can do your own finish at home if you're someone that is kind of handy like that. Brownells has their own kind of spray can, which is not just regular spray paint, so don't mistake it for that because it's not. And there's a very, very specific way you have to address it before you use it. I have done it, and it works, and it's very well. And just make sure you're in a well-ventilated area, and just take your time. But it does work well. It's going to take you a couple coats, depending on what you're painting. And the spray cans are not expensive. I think I think they were like $20 or $25, somewhere in there.
Are you talking about the Scotsman? Are you talking about the aluminum hide?
Yeah, the
stuff?
aluminum hide. Yep.
Yeah, it's an epoxy finish.
Yeah,
you got to take care with it. Yeah,
it works well, and one of the biggest things there is, like I said, when you're getting ready to use it, you got to do very specific things in order to use it. And one of the best ways to do it is you want to heat it up some, but you got to heat it up very carefully. So pay attention to what you're doing. You don't want to boil it. You just want to warm it up some and get that free flowing before you actually go to spray with it.
And I
the
have
good
another
thing about
is hydro dip.
yeah, hydro dipping.
I've hydro dipped a couple stocks. Actually, the whole gun.
The cool thing about Duracoat is it comes in so many finishes and colors, and you can go to. I've got some fairly expensive airbrushes, and I went to Harbor Freight and bought a Harbor Freight airbrush, and it works just fine. As a matter of fact, it works better than the Pache stuff. And you can make your own pattern, do whatever you want, make the wildest colors you want. The Lumihide is a similar. It's an epoxy paint, so when you finish with it, you have to turn it upside down and clear the nozzle. And epoxy, has a work life. So the good thing about Duracoat is you can come back over and top coat it with clear, and it's tough. It's really tough. It's Cerakote pretty much for the home hobbyist.
It's
So
Cerakote
that's what I do.
Too.
Yeah.
I haven't tried the Cerakote self-drying line. Have you, Rebel?
No, I just use Duracoat. And they actually, you put them in, a lot of the guys that do Cerakote put them in an oven, and that's not actually the best thing because you're curing them at a faster rate. So if you'll hang said stock out in the sun and let it UV cure, it'll actually be tougher than what you would do if you just tried to bake it or something like that. So, and plus your wife doesn't get near as mad at you.
The thing that always blew me away about Cerakote is how thin it is for such a good coverage.
Same with Duracoat.
Is it the same way?
With Duracoat. Well, I could show you, but I'm presenting actual firearms, so I'm not going to show you. Okay.
Don't do that.
And CW's seen some of my work. I actually do it on the side for people. It's not a regular thing, but it's a good side gig, to be able to. And hey, I'm using my college degree, advertising design and commercial art, so I paint guns. So, and I'll paint whatever you want within my ability. It just don't, I just tell people, don't come to me and say, I want mossy oak bottomland. And no, you're going to get rebel oak bottomland. Okay. Which is however that tape I rip falls. It's random. I like doing random patterns. You don't want to lay them down the woods. You're going to lose the gun. So I've done several projects and of my own and of other people's, and they've all turned out well, no complaints. Tough finish. But like Scotsman said, the Lumihide, for those that don't want to pony up for an airbrush, the colors are somewhat limited, but they're, for basic camouflage, you're golden.
Hey there, Ron Leesman. Welcome in, buddy.
I talked to some stock people up in Rebels area today.
Who's that?
Wooks.
Oh, yes.
Wooks?
Yep. They're actually a subsidiary of Beretta.
And they'll make you a stock out of, they'll use any kind of wood you want.
Yep. It's basically what Bama Dad's talking about is an aluminum chassis with really fine wood inlaid into it. So it gives you a beautiful stock, but it's also a chassis.
It's a fully modular chassis. It's nice. I'll tell you this, they're not cheap.
No, they're not.
Not cheap at all.
Matter of fact, they're if you were at my house, Bama, we could be there in 20 minutes. So I know exactly where our plan is.
I would love to go see their stuff, because I was talking to him about woods, and he said I said, I really would like to have something out of curly maple. He said, we can do it. We can do it for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Just one thing I would say and advise is just be careful whenever you're talking to someone about doing custom grips or doing a custom stock for you. Make sure they have a background in it. I had someone years ago. I asked them if it was possible for them to make grips for a certain revolver, not for me, for someone else as a gift. Um, and they were like, "Oh yeah, 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 yeah." I bought this beautiful freaking piece of wood, and I mean beautiful piece of wood. And it wasn't cheap. And I had them send the gun to me so I could make sure everything was 100%. And I didn't tell them why I wanted the gun. I just said, "Hey, I need to borrow your gun for a little bit." And they sent it to me, no questions asked. And it was almost 7, 8 months before the guy finally said, "I can't do it." And I'm like, "Dude, you could have told me that within a month that you weren't able to do it."
Yeah, could have told you that.
Don't sit there. You're giving me all kinds of excuses and all the rest of it. So make sure you do your research. I kind of screwed up on that one. I knew the guy pretty well for the most part, but I didn't know his background as far as doing stocks and grips, and I should have done more research.
Well, Wooks is a national company. If they say they can do bird's eye maple, you're talking about little bitty panels on the grips and on the fore end and on the some parts of the stock, maybe the cheek piece. And if they say they can do it, they can do it. They're a neat concept, neat company, very Italian looking. Make sure rifle look very svelte. Is that the right word, Walter?
That'll work. Yeah. Yeah.
Very, yeah.
Very attractive, and you wish you could date it.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Very much so. They're neat stocks. Trent, my partner at work, has one in a 224 Valkyrie. And Trent wants to shoot with us, CW, when y'all come down. So I'll have Trent break out that rifle, and y'all can check out that stock. It's a neat stock. I have one guy at the groundhog shoot that was trying one. He said, "I'm not completely sold on it yet. It's got a lot of screws. I want to make sure they're all locked down after this contest. Not that we shoot, 30 rounds, 60 rounds, or anything like that. It's 9 shots. These guys travel 300 miles to shoot 9 shots, and then try the egg at 500. 1 shot. So at the most, you're shooting 10 shots. But they do it.
Let's go around the room with this one. I already answered them in the side chat, but 1975 was about the year I started reloading. Started reloading.
Mm-hmm. How long did it take you to be the all-knowing oracle?
you got the oracle of the press and the sage of the pot on the panel tonight.
Well, I'll start with this one. I started reloading about 10 years ago, and I probably should have started a lot longer prior to that. But C-Max was the one that's like, "Why don't you reload?" And I'm like, "I don't know, dude." He's like, "You need to reload." And he pushed me, and I finally bought a brass. I'd been saving brass for years. I had all kinds of brass saved and all the rest of it because I knew at some point I was probably going to do it. I just hadn't got there, and C-Max pushed me over, and I went out and I got a Lee Classic turret. And, he sent me a very personalized video that was probably 45 minutes long and basically broke down every single part of the process. And he's like, "You got questions? Call me." And trust me, I called him, and we spent much time on the phone and walking me through certain things and just little things, but it's the little things that make the difference because just setting the bullet just right, getting the case mouth opening just right, all of that stuff is huge. And yeah, it's been a good solid 10 years for me, and I've gone through all kinds of different presses over the years. And I'm down to 3 presses now. I've had probably 8. And I've given some away to people to help other people get into it. We've done some as giveaways, fundraisers, stuff like that. And I'm down to 4 because I do have one for shotgun. I haven't gotten the shotgun yet, but I do have one for shotgun, so I have 4 presses.
Bama.
What's that?
When did you start reloading?
How many years? When did you start reloading?
Pay attention, boy.
About 2
When did
years
you start
ago.
picking your nose?
I think I came out of the womb like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can go worse, but I'm not going to. Really about, I guess, 2.5, about 2 to 2.5 years ago. And, typical thing, I had time on my hands and money to blow, and I didn't jump in like I should have. I jumped in with a Dillon XL 750 and was lost.
Yeah, that's a hard start. Yeah,
I don't recommend that to anybody. Dillon will tell you, "Oh yeah, sure, not a problem. Just use our manual and you'll be up and loading in a day." Don't believe that. Get you a single stage press and start out learning the basics. Learn what each die does and what to expect from it. Get all your gauges, make sure you're doing everything right one step at a time. And then if you want to go up to progressive, go up to progressive. But I guess I do most of my reloading, all my rifle reloading I do on a Redding T7, and all of my handgun ammunition I do on the Dillon, which is kind of, a lot of people say you can do precision rifle on a Dillon, but
A lot of people do.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not. I just feel like I need to be more hands-on.
Yes. Yeah, I got you.
I don't trust I guess I don't trust me well enough on the T7 to do that. If I had it all to do over again, I would have spent that money on a really high quality, something like an Area 419 turret press, something like that. But then I would be ticked off when I needed to make 1,000 rounds of 9mm if I didn't have it. So,
Walter, how long you been doing it? This is gonna make me look sick. Me and CW look sick.
No, not so much. I started about the same time as CW. I loaded my first round, I think it was 1978, here's the backstory. At that time, I lived way out in the country, way out, 60 miles from the next town. And I was a part-time deputy at the residence post out there, which was good and bad. You were a long way from any backup, but you also didn't have a lieutenant breathing down your back all the time. You could do pretty much whatever you want. But issued sidearm was a Smith & Wesson Model 39, a loosely fit, underpowered, small magazine,
Stinking
worthless
9mm.
POS. Man, I hated that gun. And this only saving grace is we could carry as a backup weapon any firearm that you could qualify with on the appropriate range ticket. And so I went with that's when I got my Model 29. And it quickly became evident that at that time in my life, I could not afford, even back then when 44 mag ammo was 30 cents a round, I couldn't afford it. So I bought the Sierra manual, which was about half the size of the current one, and read the stuff in the front, went down to a store in the next nearest town and talked to one of the sports guys there, and he sold me a press, a single stage press, and a box of RCBS dies and some components. It was some unique. And he said, here you go, read the manual, go for broke. There was nobody in town who was loading handguns. There was a couple rifle loaders there. They could answer a couple questions, but this was long before the internet and video. So you had to read, you had to go try it. You had to come back and read it again because your round was so crappy that you thought you must have misread something, and usually you did. But that's when I got started, and I hand loaded for quite a while. And then I moved into town, and I didn't shoot much, and I didn't do a whole lot of reloading for a while. I was kept at it, but then probably 20 years ago, I started back up actively again and getting back with the program and shooting more and more and more. So now I've got, I don't know if I have as many presses as CW does, but I probably have 25 presses of various configurations and stuff. Somebody, I think it was Ed, was saying he had started with the Lee hand press. I got 2 of those things. That's a marvelous tool when you think about it. It really is. It's not the only one out there like that. And I've got a couple of old Lymans, and I've got there's 5 Dillons in my garage, only 2 of which are operational at the time. And half a dozen Lees and some Reddings and RCBSs, all that good stuff. Now it's a hobby. And so people say, what are you doing with all of that gear? I said, you play golf? Yeah, I play golf. How many clubs you have?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
You fish? How many rods you got? How many lures you got?
Right.
So it's a hobby for me. There's absolutely no need for all of the stuff that I have. You can do it all with you pick the right press. You can do it all with one press, and a couple of sets of dies, and you're good to go. But I'm too tight to throw stuff away. So even stuff that I have that don't work is still sitting there. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Ed Petty says, who remembers the first round you ever reloaded? I do, because it was for a 44 Magnum cartridge, and you can bet that I was like this. Oh, man, don't let me blow my face off. And it went boom, and it went like that. And I go, oh, son of a gun, that's kind of fun. Look at your gun. Make sure it's not.
Yeah, the first cartridges I started loaded for was on a Ancient Herders, which I'll show a picture of in a minute. And I bought it from one of a tail gunner from World War II. And I had to buy the adapter for it because the shell holders weren't the standard shell holders. Yeah, they were giant. And I was lucky to find one on Midway. And so I started loading 45 Colt, and I'm the same as Walter. The first load I shot was like that, and I was like, wow, that was anticlimactic. And then I started loading 45-70, And then the first center fire bottleneck I loaded for was 243. And that really kind of sparked a desire in me to get more precise. And about that time, 300 Blackout came out. And that kind of changed everything for me, because I've been reloading for about 10 years before that, and just playing around with stuff and loading just standard loads. And then 300 Blackout was the first round where I got to interact with a like-minded group of guys like CW and Della, which you guys don't know, but marvelously smart reloader. And CW, Della, and maybe arguably myself, became something like, Yoda, Obi-Wan, and I was probably Luke. But on that forum, and because we were trying so many different things, we were pushing the envelope, we were doing all this stuff and trying different powders, different bullets, seeing how they performed, and that just kind of, and then I had a career change, and I bought Bullseye, and I got into precision reloading probably in the last 12 years, and that has encompassed my entire world, as far as custom rifles, this, that, back, forth, and eking every bit of accuracy you can get out of a rifle cartridge. And looking at, if y'all can see, this is the old Herders. This is a boat anchor, but it's a great press. I use it for depriming now. Down the line, you got a Mech 20 for shotgun, the Herders, an RCBS. Right there's the little Harold's press. And then behind it, you got a Mech 12 grabber for shot shell. And then over here, you have a Dillon 550 for pistol. I could set it up for rifle, but I prefer to do pistol in mass. I can do 223, 300 Blackout in it, but I prefer to do that right here, single stage. And while we've been talking, I've been working on 222 Remington, which is a nice little zipper. That's a 40 grain bullet on top of 4198, and hopefully she's north of 3,500 feet per second. So that'll ruin a groundhog's day. Six, what you got? When did you start?
I started probably around 1985, I believe it was. And we're a 303 British. Picked up a RCBS Reloader Special 2. Still got it in there, still use it. And worked on that, and I started reloading all of my hunting cartridges, like my 270 and 243s. And then I started doing some hunter pistol silhouette with my 32s. So 32 H&R was my first pistol round I ever loaded. And I was doing that. I wasn't doing a whole lot of loading, but loading. And when we moved out here to Magnolia from the city, out of Houston, all my stuff got put up. And I don't think I loaded for 10 years. I had plenty of ammo for go hunting with, so I didn't need any of that. And finally got down to where I was running out of ammo. So it's like, I think I need to build me a reloading bench and get my stuff out and load stuff up. And did that. Taught my son how to do it. I showed him, put him through it, and he loaded him a bullet, and I marked it, and we we went hunting. He shot him a big old deer with it and stuff. And after that, it's like I started doing stuff like what I call recreational reloading, where we're just reloading to reload and go to the range and, testing stuff and things like that. And in the past 10 years, my reloading room has just exploded, a whole lot of the presses in there and stuff, reloading components all over the place. I mean, just been something else in the past 10 years. So, and most of it is because of people like y'all. I started watching them, and it's like, well, I want to shoot this, I want to shoot that, and just start trying different stuff. Then I started casting, so there's more reloading to do.
Yeah. It can be a rabbit hole for sure. If it bites you, it'll bite you hard.
Yeah. And then in the middle of all that is I started doing air guns too again, and building them on all that other. So I had to cast for those because a lot of reloading. So, and now the wife and me shooting cowboys, like I got to constantly cast and reload now.
But we got about 15 more minutes where we got to get out of here. So let's go around the room and see what everybody's got coming up, and say our goodbyes. And hopefully we can get Jamie in here before we close up. In the side chat, Kyle says he's home or just about home, so we ought to see him shortly. I want to start back up at the top, Jason. I guess Jason's not there, so we'll go over to Mark. What do you got coming up? What's coming up this week for you? And anything close?
Just some reloading, and like I said, I'm looking at a different chassis, and if everything works out on that, I may be getting that. And I'll put a picture up there if you want to see it. But other than that, I don't have a whole lot. Walter?
Get some video out there for us, Mark. Mark had put up one the other day from the Dead Zero shooting day. That was pretty good. Well, we got kind of the typical fare. I'll have 6 videos out this week, like we do every week, 3 on Rumble and 3 on YouTube, and kind of the standard fare for a while. I was supposed to. I told myself yesterday I was going to get some loading done. I ended up casting, and then I said, well, I'll get some loading done today, and I didn't get that done either. So this weekend I got to get some loading done for my range day on Monday. Next long weekend for me, I'll be gone, so I won't be here at least on panel, but I might be able to be on the side chat. That's my annual camp out with my adventure rider motorcycle group. And even though I'm not riding, a lot of my friends are still there. So it's over east of where Mario lives, east of Bakersfield, California, up at Lake Isabella. So we got a big camp out, and it's always fun. A bunch of riders show up, and we sit around, smoke and joke, and tell lies to each other and about each other. So that's kind of what's going on here. Pretty much status quo, other than the camp out next week. So it'll be a good week for me. And let's see what else. I think I mentioned in the side chat, I got a couple of new firearms inbound, but they're not going to be. California takes a while. If it's a special order stuff, it takes a week for the dealer to get it, and then you got to wait 10 more days for our California cooling off period. That's somebody else's cooling off, not me. But when those get here, I'll show you guys. And let's see what else I did. I guess that's about all that's going on. Mike, what you got happening, Rebel?
Well, I've got to ice pack my knees here in about 5 minutes, hopefully I'm meeting with a surgeon June 23rd, and we're gonna get this party started. I'm gonna go down CW's journey of being bionic. It's got to be better than what I got, because what I got what I got ain't worth a damn. So but as far as shooting, we're entering the slow time of the business. It's hit or miss. This is the time where Trent has really got into precision reloading. He's bought a lot of equipment, I believe. Maybe he doesn't need, but I'm friggin' envious as crap of what he's bought. And I was like, I can't wait till I officially retire and I get a pay raise. Yeah, because when you own a business, you don't, especially a gun business, you don't pay yourself nothing. So when I get on Social Security, I actually get a pay raise. And Trent's bought the auto trickler. He's bought the Wilson presses and dies, and I'm not sure, he's still in that young phase of precision reloading where he's buying a lot of nice equipment that he hears people talking about, but I'm not really sure he's seeing the benefits of it yet. It will pay off. But he's not as scared of custom calibers now. He acquired a Lilja 10 twist barrel, and he was going to build a 300 short mag. And my guy told him, he said, well, I don't have a short mag reamer, but why don't you do this? Why don't you do a 6.5 PRC and neck it up to 30? And all of a sudden, Trent's eyes got real big. And he was like, I can bore out your die, whatever you need, blah, 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 blah. That's going to be a fun project, really fun project. So this is the time of year where us guys at Bullseye get to do a little bit more experimenting, a little bit more shooting. Unfortunately, the temperatures get high here. You got to watch the powder you're using and choose it wisely, as powders are very temperature sensitive. So that's all I have, Tex. You
right.
Go ahead, and I'm going to get out of here and go ice down my knees.
All right. We got a cowboy match in the morning, so we're going to do that. Sunday, I'm planning on casting. I got to get some more bullets casts for us. I've already got 3 airgun wide cutter Wednesdays filmed. I have 7 10s in there to do yet, and I just ordered the last 2 that I'm going to be doing for the series. So when those come in, I'll get all those videoed up. So it's coming close to an end, but still going to be like July before we're over with it. So
Good deal. Thanks for all those. They've been great.
it's been fun doing them. That's it for me.
Well,
Night,
I've got 3 videos coming up next week, and 3 different topics, 3 different different things. One new caliber, 1 new gun, and a couple of new other things. So new stuff on my channel coming up next week, and then we're going to go off from there. 300 Hammers coming to an end. Got a couple more videos, but I'm pretty satisfied. So we're stepping on to the next caliber. So more fun to be had.
Never end the process, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I want to thank everybody on the panel, and especially thank everybody in the side chat. Couldn't do it all without you guys, and we really, really appreciate it. Jason, are you there yet? Well, we got a couple more minutes. Maybe he'll come back in here.
It's on a phone call.
Oh, that could be, huh? Yeah.
Hopefully Jamie can sneak in too.
Yeah. It's Tommy Boy says you get several $1,000s to start casting. It doesn't take that much. you can start for less than that. You'll end up spending that much maybe by the time you're done. But
Yeah, that's true.
You won't stay below 1,000 very long.
no, it's interesting how much some of this reloading stuff has gone up in price just fairly recently. Used to be able to buy a pretty decent single stage, press cast and for $100, and now you're going to spend 250 for something like a rock chucker, and
you don't have to buy new. Look for
you
used
don't
stuff.
exactly. That's just where I was going with that. You can look on your local Craigslist or eBay. Starts to get kind of expensive to
Look
ship
at your gun club.
something like
Ask-
that heavy,
Ask
but
people in your clubs.
yeah, Facebook Marketplace,
to
those
us.
kinds of stuff.
Talk to
Yeah.
us. You know,
Because you can start with used stuff, and CW will back me up on this. Buying if you're looking at casting, buying a used mold is often a better way to go than buying a brand new one.
it's already broke in.
You already broke in, and you kind of know what you're looking for, but you can ask us, and but like an RCBS pot, I was looking at those the other day. They're over $400. I'm like,
Yeah.
But you can start with a leaf pot for $100, and they work. They drip, but they work.
My local reloading
Do
store
they drip?
every couple of months has a swap meet in their parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You scored some nice stuff at your last one.
Yeah.
No,
oh yeah.
That was
That
at
was
the cowboy matches. Yeah, I got some good stuff.
One feller had that table set up, and you got all kinds of good stuff off of them.
I wish I'd have went ahead and got that second pot from him, but I didn't do it. I bought that Seiko pot for only $75, man.
You stole that pot, man. They're worth a lot of money.
Yep.
I see those on eBay for $250
Yeah.
because people want to use them for zinc. Yeah.
Yep. For sure.
I haven't even touched it yet. It's sitting underneath my bench in there. I haven't even messed with it yet. I've been too busy.
It don't go bad. It don't pay rent. It don't owe you nothing, and it just sits there.
Nope.
It'll be there when you want it.
Exactly. So
You got to work on her new rifle. I got to get all the parts for it. So I got to short stroke it and do all the other stuff to it.
She liking it?
Well, she only shot it once, so and it didn't have no butt stock on it, so it kept sliding off. That steel plate kept sliding off her shoulder. We got to get her a butt stock.
Glenn, you and me too.
Yep.
She picked up some of those that Taylor and Company was there at the NRA. Yeah. She picked up a couple of them, was trying them. It's like, how come this one's so easy? Because it's been tuned.
Yeah, it makes a little difference, doesn't it? Are her guns? Did she get Vaqueros? I can't remember what she got for her pistols. Or were they Pietas?
Do what?
Were those revolvers that Penny got? Were they? Did she get Vaqueros or did she get?
No, they're Taylors.
They're Taylors. Okay.
Yeah, Taylors by you, Birdie.
Right. Okay.
Probably Glenn's asking me something. I got a parts list of. I mean, this is all kinds of stuff and the short stroke kit's the most expensive part of it, but about $350 worth of parts just to slick it up.
Is there one outfit you can go to that carries all the parts necessary for that rifle, or do you have to kind of grope around the different
Long Hunter has everything pretty much. There might be something else. I'm going to try to find a different loading gate for her that's a little lighter to push the bullets in with. I'm going to change the spring out to a stainless steel spring, and I'll take the lifter. I'll take it to work and mill it to lighten it out instead of buying one. Just different things you got to do. So we're in no hurry. She's supposed to have her carpal tunnel surgery in about 3 weeks. So
oh boy,
she'll be out for a little while anyway.
If you guys haven't tuned into Six's channel, she started, I guess it was last year at some point, and she's better and better and better every time he puts up a video of the matches. She shoots better and better and better,
Yeah.
and it's not going to be long. She's going to eclipse you, and then you're going to be in the back seat. You got to teach her.
One of the stages that we just did over in Comanchera days, she ran a 45. So 42 has been her best time ever. She ran a 45, and she had to literally run. It's between the stages of the guns. Is probably 10 yards or more between them. So if she hadn't had to run that far, she'd have broke her first 42nd.
Oh boy, yeah, good.
And she was smoking on that one.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch her progress. You know, she
And
moved a lot forward, a lot faster than I would. I'll tell you that.
She's going to get a lot better when I get her that 73 running. So.
There you go.
All right, we're at our mark. So again, thank everybody. Really good chat. Thank everybody in the side chat. Just want to say goodnight to everybody. Sorry we didn't see Jamie, but we've all read in the side chat he's fine, he's home, and we'll probably see him in here in the back chat afterwards. So we'll see him next week. Hope to see all you next week. Thank everybody, and good night. Everybody say good night.
Everybody, thanks.